Payroll flexibility is the question in my book. Let's bring our friend Tone in, get his takes on what we've been saying here. John McMullen was on earlier. We appreciate John. I know you and him do a great job as well.
Yes, sir. How you feeling, sir?
Oh, good, man.
Awesome.
A.J. Brown, you think has a great impact on Jalen's game?
To a point. To a point. I think A.J. Brown was instrumental in Jalen Hurts making that leap from 2021 to 2022. I think we all can say that and not even dispute that. In 2023, what we saw an offense that became lazy. And what I mean by that is we saw lazy game planning, lazy play calling, and we saw a head coach and a quarterback relying too much on one guy to move the sticks. And lo and behold, we got the result we got. Now, look, do I think A.J. Brown is a great player? Absolutely. Do I think from a talent perspective, the team is better with him? Yes. But is it possible for a quarterback to become too lenient or to rely too heavily on one guy like a guy like A.J. Brown? It's entirely possible. And I think in order for Jalen Hurts to take that next step, he has to be able to utilize A.J. Brown in a way that doesn't eliminate other weapons on the field, like a Devontae Smith, like a Dallas Goedert.
Don't you think in the evolution of a quarterback, Tone, like even with Dak with Amari Cooper, doesn't it get to a point where, yes, that guy helps these guys early on in their career.
Yeah.
But eventually you have to cut the umbilical cord
to
where you grow, because it's not about developing AJ. It's about developing your investment.
Yeah, it's like eventually you got to take the training wheels off eventually. And it's interesting. Tyreek Hill was extremely instrumental in Patrick Mahomes' development, earlier on. But people got to realize what the Chiefs did when they got rid of Tyreek Hill. They only had one Super Bowl at the time. They took a risk.
Oh,
they gambled. They gambled, and
aggressive.
It was aggressive. It was aggressive, and Andy Reid and those guys, Brett Veach, they looked at each other and said, "Look, I believe in that guy. That guy being 15. I believe in that guy more so than paying this guy. I'd much rather roll the dice with this guy than pay this guy $30 million." And they bet big and they won big. And you got to give credit where credit is due. Patrick Mahomes is a spectacular player who just knows how to elevate the guys around him and just knows how to manipulate the game in such a way where he's in full control. Jalen Hurts is not that player. He's not there yet. And I believe
let him get there though.
Right. And I have high expectations for Jalen Hurts, right? And sometimes I feel like my expectations could be a little unrealistic. So I try to curve them a little bit, but
because you see the talent, but you're really kind of hampered because of the organization and you're not sure because of them. Dude, you're more confident in Hurts. And I am too, but I'm not in them.
Yeah. I just think, I think Jalen Hurts is a player that, when I see him play the game, he's a smart player.
Absolutely.
He's not a lughead out there just throwing his body around, or he's a smart player, but I do think he has to improve at the line of scrimmage.
I think not Jeff George.
What's interesting? Some of the best, I personally believe the best quarterbacks are better in pre-snap than they are post-snap.
Oh, absolutely. Tone, it's a great take, and you're right.
And I think Jalen Hurts is great post-snap. His pre-snap needs work. And I think that's where he is.
When Brady went to the line of scrimmage, he knew where everyone was lined up, and he knew, and this goes back to Belichick's training. You had the greatest defensive coordinator of all time. And I think I've told you this, they used to play that battleship type of style of game.
Yeah.
They would have a field in front of him on his tablet, and Brady would. For hours, these two guys would do this. Tom, 39 plus 25. Tom goes like this. We're going to go a man under. We're going to do a rear wheel route, back flay now, maybe a block and release here with Gronk. And then Belichick would go, yeah, but don't forget, you got the hash mark over. They were playing situational football, so nothing would be nothing would shock Tom.
Right.
And once Tom saw the game, it clicked.
Right.
It just clicks. Tone, sometimes the game, it just clicks.
Right.
And no, like here, just my small world. Like when you line up, you could feel this. I could close my eyes. And if I feel pressure on this side, I automatically know that they're going to do a down block on me. I wipe across and they want to try to get outside of me in the 3-hole. Or if this guy just goes away, my first say guards in front of me, he goes away. My first notion is not to go with him. My first notion is to look back inside because there's a wham block coming. After a while, you just got to feel for it.
Right. And I think that's where, and I think that's where Jalen Hurts has to, I think Jalen Hurts has to improve his feel, right? Look, I'm gonna be honest about this, right? And I say this with love on Valentine's Day, of course, because I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. He's gonna have to really fall off a cliff for me to feel otherwise. But I look at it like this. Jalen Hurts is a player, again, smart guy. He's never going to be able to throw the ball like Patrick Mahomes. He's never going to be able to run like Lamar Jackson. He's never going to have the arm talent of a Justin Herbert or a Josh Allen. He's never going to be that guy. What I'm banking on this. If he can elevate his game pre-snap with his skill set, because again, when you look at Jalen Hurts these past 2 years in comparison to year one as a starter, he went from completing 60% of his passes to 66% of his passes. That's a hell of a jump, and he managed to sustain
your Wheaties these last 2 days, my good friend.
So when I think about it from that perspective, and I think that's why I'm open to the Kellen Moore situation, because to your point, you want to get Jalen Hurts back to playing his game, but the last thing I want for him to do is rely too much on the wheels and not enough on the brain. I think Jalen Hurts has the capabilities to pick up that pre-snap stuff. And I think that's why they brought Kellen Moore in. You bring up a great point, though, every time you say you want to get back to that 2022 Jalen Hurts, and I totally understand that. But your wheels fail you before your brain does. And I think that's where his game has to go to the next level, being more under center, understanding the motions, understanding where defenders are, understanding, how to utilize the middle of the field. And I truly believe that's where Jalen Hurts needs to focus primarily where his development is. He needs to focus more on the pre-snap, not the post-snap, because he's accurate. He had a bad year with interceptions, but I look at interceptions as being a poor decision maker, not being inaccurate. Josh Allen,
also they evolved the offense.
Right, and I also think he wasn't comfortable with anything that they were doing. I think about Josh Allen, right? People say Josh Allen, no, he's a bum. No, the hell he's not. Josh Allen may be a poor decision maker, but he's not inaccurate. And I think that's where people, get it misconstrued with a guy like Josh Allen. So that's kind of how I feel about Jalen Hurts' 2023. He's not inaccurate. He just made bad decisions. And I feel like the coaches didn't do a good enough job putting him in positions to win.
That's a great take. And watch this. You're dead on. Josh Allen is more talented all around than Jalen Hurts will ever be. But the most important asset that Jalen Hurts has is that I believe he's a better decision maker than that guy. And to me, what you were talking about pre-snap, okay, it's more important for me that I have a guy that's smarter than your guy.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, it's not about being more talented.
Perfect example. Remember that Super Bowl, Tampa Bay versus the Chiefs. Now, obviously, the Chiefs O-line, they had injuries at the tackle position. Things went south. I'm not going to put that on Mahomes, right? But what I will say is this: the smarter quarterback at that time won the game. Tom Brady didn't win Super Bowls with his arm. He didn't win anything with his arm. Tom Brady is not the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He's not. Tom Brady is not even top 10 talent-wise at the position ever. No, you know what I mean? If you're just going
no way.
Right. If you're just going talent, like just ability to throw the ball, ability to move, all that kind of stuff, Tom Brady is not even a top 10 talent, but he's the best decision maker of all time. And I think that's where you win. That's how you're successful.
To me, what it comes down to, again, Tone, it's processing the information and see, hey, watch this. Is Hurts more talented than Lamar? Absolutely not.
No, he's
Is
not.
he a better game decision maker? Yeah, I would take that.
I will say this though, just again, just to keep the onus on Hurts, he has to reprove himself again. I think he has to. 20 turnovers.
You know why he has to reprove himself?
Because he's second round pick.
Changing the offense around him.
Yes, so he has to kind of
Don't you think, Tone, instead of reproving himself, why don't you let him do what he does so he can do what he does exceptional? You're right. He has to consider. You know what? They put him in a box now. They've taken him away from a point where they gave him $50 million where he doesn't have to prove himself. Hey, you want to play 22, Jalen? You don't have anything to prove to me. You want to play 23 style? You got a ton to prove to me because I don't believe you can win a Super Bowl from the pocket. Yeah. But I believe you can win a Super Bowl how you played in 22. That's the dumbest comment I could ever make to an organization. 22, that guy can win a Super Bowl. 23, you have no chance.
Still dual threat has to prove that they can win a Super Bowl, though. There's a lot of people who still believe that style doesn't win at all.
Dual threat on Sunday.
And that right. But remember what you always say. Yeah, he had those moments where he had to tuck that ball and run, definitely. Yep. But if you ask me, he was so surgical with his decision making in the pre-snap. So see, if you can marry that dual threat style with the supreme pre-snap intellect, you're unstoppable. And that's what we saw. That's what we saw in that Super Bowl. We saw the perfect marriage between talent, dual threat, and pre-snap. Now, again, Jalen Hurts is not going to be as talented as him. But as far as that dual threat nature of the game, Jalen Hurts will always have that. If he improves pre-snap, I think Jalen Hurts can end up being maybe a top 6, top 5 quarterback in his league. If he can improve the pre-snap. If he can do that, if Kellen Moore can find a way to exercise that, I think the sky can be the limit. Again, I'm never going to say he's the most talented. I'm never going to say that because he's not. He never will be.
Say he's the most winningest.
That's what I care about. I don't care about the talent. I care about winning the games, winning the big ones.
Well, wait a minute here. Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Herbert, Stafford.
Yeah. It's an uphill battle.
Prescott, Stroud, Lawrence.
Oh yeah,
Burrow,
yeah.
Love, Murray, Geno Smith, Cousins, Golf. Rodgers played 2 minutes. Not even. Anthony Richardson played 2 games. Then there's Hurts at 17. Damn, dog. Your boy doesn't get any respect. How come?
Hey, listen. People make lists
They've
for a
been
reason.
waiting for that guy to drop the ball on the ground. Hey, look at where Purdy's right. Hey, you think there's anything to that? Purdy's right after him at 18.
Exactly. Can you ring off the top 10 guys one more time for me, please?
Absolutely. 10 up. Love.
Hold on. Wait. Go slow for me. So you said, yeah. Go 10 up. I'm sorry. Go 10 up.
Love at 10.
First round pick.
Lawrence at 8.
First round pick.
Stroud at 7.
First round pick.
Prescott at 6.
Fourth rounder.
Now remember something what I said to you.
He's also a Cowboy.
Tony Romo was undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
And does it really matter where you're drafted if you're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys?
Not really.
Okay. Tony Romo called the Super Bowl. Troy Aikman's on ESPN.
Yeah. But again, I don't want to just dismiss Dak. He had a really good year. I don't want to dismiss
what I'm saying about perception.
But I know what you're saying though. Perception. Because
that's the only quarterback in the NFL that it really doesn't matter if you're a first or second rounder. But if you're Brock Purdy and Hurts, hey, don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dak Prescott, who's next?
Stafford at 5.
First round pick.
Herbert at 4.
First round pick.
Allen at 3.
First round pick.
Jackson at 2.
First round pick.
Mahomes at 1.
First round pick. You noticing something? They love their first rounders, baby.
I'll tell you what.
And then go from 11.
The only guy up to Hurts at 17. The only 2 guys that weren't drafted in the first round were Prescott, Smith, Cousins. That's it.
Yeah, and then Hurts. So that if you think about that should tell you right then and there when you're a first round pick.
By the way, I
this,
think that list is bullshit.
I know you do, but it's content, right? We love it.
Of course it is.
So I think like you said, that list is bullshit. But also, when you're a first round pick, you're afforded certain luxuries, and that's okay, right?
Yeah, you're allowed more latitude.
Right. But that's what makes the story that much sweeter. When you're the most hated, the most doubted, and when you win, that's why people hate Tom Brady. Because still to this day, there are some people that say to themselves, that damn 6th round pick. Damn.
Oh.
Damn. He has more Super Bowls than
No.
Peyton Manning. I spent the first overall pick on Peyton Manning. First overall.
Don't you get it? Tom Brady makes guys like Howie Roseman look stupid.
Makes a lot of guys look stupid. A lot of them.
All
of them.
The front office and analytics guys look stupid. Hey, Jalen Hurts makes the analytic guys look stupid.
Let me say this. Don't you think
Hurts was a $50 million a year guy? Tone, who was the first round pick that year that they took in that draft with Hurts?
The first round picks that year were Tua, Herbert.
No, him. Who did the Eagles take in the first round that year?
Oh, hold on, wait, say that one more time for me. I'm sorry.
Was it Devontae they took in the first round?
Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter, they took Devontae Smith.
Okay. Was that the first year was he drafted in 20 or 21?
Jalen Hurts was drafted in 2020.
Who was that first pick in that 2020 draft?
Oh, you mean okay? I get what you're saying.
Was it Rager?
First pick Yes, Rager. Yes. Rager was. Please don't remind me.
How stupid Jalen Hurts has made the front. So you had a talent evaluation on Jalen Rager to be a 1, but your $50 million evaluation where your second round evaluation where everyone in Philly hated the pick, and he was drafted as a seatbelt. So I'm wondering if it was luck or they just needed a position.
It was
maybe both.
It was I'll put it this way. They drafted the position because they needed it. They're lucky that he turned out to be what he is.
Oh,
because they had no idea
Jalen Hurts made the front office look stupid.
He wasn't.
Twice.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, man. And I like Jalen Hurts. He was not the long-term answer in 2020.
I went
or
like
2021.
This. What?
He wasn't the long-term answer.
Of course he wasn't. They had just given what's his name the money.
Right. Based off of that part too. You paid Carson Wentz, and then even after you moved on from Carson in 2021, they were prepared to offer the farm
2 1s.
Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson.
And remember, they had 2 1s in the draft.
I don't understand why people want to ignore that fact. It's reported, it's documented. They wanted to trade. They wanted Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson vetoed the move. They didn't
want to look bad because they missed with Rager, and what Jalen has done. Now all of a sudden they're propping him up. They're giving him $50 million. $50 million covers the second rounder.
Right. And look, I respect you for paying them and trying to. I respect it, but at the same time,
you didn't believe him.
You didn't believe in him at first. And a lot of people didn't.
Hey, dude, the Patriots missed on Brady 5 times.
Let me tell you this. Right? Do you think the NFL, listen, we all know some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time were not drafted in the first round, right? Montana, guys like that, right? But listen to this, right? Do you think if the NFL had it their way, they would love for the greatest of all time to be a first rounder?
Oh, of course.
If they had it their way.
Because the front offices would look brilliant.
Exactly.
How many first picks? Yeah, I guarantee you, if you looked at the history of Super Bowls that are won, Bart Starr wasn't a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Len Dawson, I don't believe was a first-round pick. Namath was. Staubach was not because he was a later-round guy because he went to the Navy. Greasy was, I believe. Montana was a third-rounder. Aikman was a first rounder. Elway was a first rounder. Peyton Manning and Eli were first rounders, and he was a first pick. I don't know how many first picks have won it. Maybe Manning's the only one. Flacco was a first rounder. Jeff Hostetler, I think, was a free agent with the Giants. Sims was a first rounder. I'd say half the Super Bowl champions were not first round draft choices.
Man, I'll say this, right? So I'm looking at something right here, and I'm looking at Super Bowl champions. Let me make sure I got this right. All right. So I'm looking at Super Bowl quarterbacks dating all the way back
to 66.
Yep. The 66. Well, yeah, 67. Well, yeah, 66.
7? Okay.
And I'm going to pull it up for you.
It's Starr.
Yeah, Bart Starr. Yep, he's the first one.
He won 2. Was not a first rounder.
But I want to pull it up so we can really just go through this, because it just tells you, or shows you rather, that do you really have to draft the quarterback in the first round?
No.
Do you really have to? That's what they condition you to think.
It's the hardest position to evaluate. Oh, what that is, way to pull that stat. Look at that. Starr was the 17th pick.
Mm-hmm. Let's get it a little
excuse me, 17th round. Namath was a 1. Dawson was the 5th pick. I didn't know Earl Morrall was. Staubach was a 10th rounder. That's because of the Navy. Greasy's the 4th pick. Tarkington was a 3rd rounder. Wow. Bradshaw was 1-1. There's Stabler was a 2nd rounder. I didn't know that. Plunkett was 1-1. That's right. Montana was a 3rd rounder. Theismann was a 4th rounder.
Ron Jaworski was the 2nd. Joe Theismann was the 4th. David Willey was the 8th.
Look at all those guys who were drafted in latter rounds.
Montana, a 3rd round.
Yep,
1985, Montana, a 3rd rounder, beat a 1st rounder. The NFL was sick.
Actually, think about it. He was almost a 4th rounder because back then they only had 28 teams.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So basically, a 4th rounder.
4th round pick.
Basically, a 4th rounder.
With 4 rings.
Beat a 1st rounder. Like the NFL doesn't like that. They don't like that. Not
only did he beat a 1st rounder, Montana beat a guy who was the 1st pick overall. Hostetler, 3rd. Rippin, a 6th. And by the way, that's misleading, that 1-1 Buccaneers, because it was the supplemental draft. Because if people remember correctly, Steve Young was a USFL player. So he was in the supplemental. Call. It's a supplemental draft.
That is misleading. That's a good call.
Favre's a 2. Warner undrafted. Holy piss. Warner's the only dude that won a Super Bowl that's undrafted. Mahomes, look at it. Jake Delhomme, undrafted.
He went to Louisiana Lafayette. Really? Who comes out of there?
Look at Brady, 6th. That even looks stupid.
Looks crazy.
There's Warner again. That's right. He went with the Cardinals. What a psycho great story that is.
Isn't it interesting that all Tom Brady's Super Bowl wins have gone against first-round picks?
Russell Wilson, 3rd.
Well, yeah, Russell Wilson, he beat the 3rd, but yeah, he's a 3rd rounder. You're right.
Yep.
So again, my point.
There's your boy Foles, 3rd.
There's my boy Foles, Nicky. So again,
I forgot Mahomes was a. I had forgotten that Garoppolo was a 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
forgot that.
Overall, all I'm trying to say is, right, when it comes to the quarterback position,
it's hit or miss on the ones.
It's so hit or miss.
Trubisky just got cut. From the Steelers.
First, when they drafted him, I knew he was a bust. I knew from the moment they drafted him.
How many quarterbacks were taken ahead of behind Mitchell Trubisky that teams could have had? Was Josh Allen in that?
Yo, yeah, let's look at that draft. What year was that? Let me find out.
So Mitchell Trubisky just got cut from the Steelers.
Let's see here.
Check out the players behind Mitchell Trubisky. He was a high draft choice.
All right, quarterbacks drafted after Mitchell Trubisky in 2017. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna show you. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. Who drafted Mitch Trubisky? Was
Chicago.
Chicago? They should be ashamed of themselves. Somebody should have got. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, get the no way, Mahomes.
They should be ashamed of themselves. And Deshaun Watson.
Dude, that kid Joshua Dobbs is good.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. I wouldn't start him, but he's a solid backup. But he's better. I think Joshua Dobbs is better than Trubisky.
Shit, even that guy CJ Beathard has won games.
I think Beathard's better than Trubisky.
Patrick Mahomes was trapped. Oh my God, the Bears could have had Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. They could have had Patrick Mahomes. They could have had Deshaun Watson. How do you draft Trubisky over Mahomes and Deshaun Watson? Even evaluators didn't have Trubisky over them pre-draft. But here's the problem with the NFL. You have people in these organizations who want to prove they're the smartest ones in the room.
Oh,
that's the problem.
That's your boy.
Hubris. You have people who are so ego-driven. They want to be the ones that say, "Hey, we found this guy. Everybody else was against him. We picked him, and he became the guy." Okay, all right. You can play. You can play that game all you want. I'm going with the proven commodity. Deshaun Watson, national champion. I'm going with that guy.
I'm gonna troll the Bears after the show. Hey, let me tell you this though, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
John McMullen trolls the Bears all the time. John McMullen, he's not known as to be a troller, but John McMullen trolls the Bears every chance he gets.
Let me tell you something. That's right there in a nutshell. Why Justin Fields can't get a shot at success. You don't know what you're doing.
They don't know what they're doing. Even if Justin Fields can. I think Justin Fields is talented, but I don't think they know what they're doing.
They don't. I hope he lands in Pittsburgh.
It's two places I want him to go. Either Pittsburgh or Atlanta.
Atlanta gives him a better chance of winning the division.
But I want him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that's what I really want.
I want him with Tomlin.
I want him with somebody that's competent, so I can say without a shadow of a doubt whether he's good or not.
Yep, I want Mike Tomlin with him.
I would love to see it because
Mike Tomlin's a great coach.
And Justin Fields, I've never heard anything negative about his work ethic. No. I've never heard anything negative about his leadership. Nothing of the nature in Chicago. And so again. I think a guy like Justin Fields, just get him around somebody that actually knows what the hell they're doing. Please, just give him 2 seasons with Tomlin, and I bet you we see a different guy.
Absolutely. Okay, here. Firing of Steve Wilks. Now, wait a minute. What's the difference? And I'm going to jump in front of the question and say it feels different to me too. However. They won 11 games. They fired both coordinators. They cleaned the staff out. What's the difference between losing a Super Bowl with Steve Wilks and the pressure's on? You're not firing that head coach. Okay, and dude, I'm with you. Look, 19 points, Patrick Mahomes, 4 quarters. I didn't think Steve Wilks was the problem. However, the problem has to land on somebody. You know what I'm saying, Tone? The problem has to land on somebody. And I'm with John McMullen. I don't believe it should. I believe it should land on everybody, not a somebody.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your takeaway.
All right. All right, let me put it to you.
You think it's racial?
I try my hardest not to always resort to that because I feel like at times it can get overused at times. But this man was good enough to get you to a Super Bowl. But he's not good enough to keep on the roster. He was good enough to lead your defense to being ranked 4th in defensive points per game. Man. And what I mean by that is the San Francisco 49ers were ranked 4th in the NFL at 18.8 points per game. They were top 5. They had a top 5 defense in terms of scoring. Top 5 defense in terms of scoring, right? I'm going to take it a step further. Let's go passing defense. Passing defense right here. Opponent passing yards per game. The 49ers, granted, they were 14th.
Hufanga, I think losing Hufanga hurt them.
You lost your best safety, Talanoa Hufanga, right? I think that changed everything in
Oh,
their pass
it
defense,
did.
in my
It
opinion.
did. It did.
But they don't want to talk about that though. So, okay, the pass defense is ranked 14th. Rush defense. Let's just look at that. Our opponent rushing yards per game. Here we are. The 49ers had a top 5 rushing defense. You couldn't run the ball on them at all. But even then, okay, they were a top 5 defense in terms of scoring. You couldn't score on them. Maybe you could pass the ball here and there. Maybe they'll bend, but you couldn't score and you couldn't run the ball. And they had all that talent. So he was good enough to get you to a Super Bowl, but all of a sudden it's his fault. You undermined him in that Super Bowl, by the way. There was a play where Steve Wilks had guys, his guys ready and out there, ready to go. And Kyle Shanahan called a timeout, and Tony Romo said it on live television. Shanahan didn't like what he saw from Steve Wilks. That's why he called that timeout. You undermined him in the Super Bowl. You undermined him in that Vikings game. First of all, let's make it clear. When he did that all-out,
he was setting up an excuse.
That's a good question. Let me put this in perspective, right? In that Vikings game, right? That infamous. I
never looked at it that way. Yeah. You think he set him up there with that?
I would hate to think you're thinking that far ahead.
That's why John Lynch was at that press conference yesterday or the other day with Shanahan. I've never seen him have one of them Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, general manager sitting in with Kyle. He's pretty smart cat. He knows what he's doing.
I look at it like this, right? Steve Wilks was a defensive coordinator that was known to blitz. When he was in Carolina, where he had a top 5 defense, they blitzed 45% of the time. So you bring him to the 49ers and you think he's going to change his stripes? You know who you're hiring. If he wasn't the guy you believed in, why hire him in the first place? You undermined him all season. You let players talk about him behind his back all season. You're letting whatever Nick Bosa said, you're letting players throw him under the bus. But he got your team to the Super Bowl. That defense held the Chiefs to 3 points in the first half. 3 points.
Some of these guys are bringing good points up here on Shanahan.
The offense.
He has hired 2 black DCs.
That's fine. That's fine, and I respect that. And I'm not going to dismiss that either. I'm not going to dismiss that.
They're right
because that's real, and that's documented. So I'm not going to dismiss that. That's why I'm trying not to just. If you notice, I didn't say it was racially motivated yet. If you notice, I didn't say that yet.
It just feels it.
But it just doesn't. I don't like the optics because again, you knew who he was. You had a top 5 defense. You held the Chiefs to 3 points in the first half. In that game, would you say the defense underachieved or the offense underachieved?
Oh, the offense
underachieved. In that Super Bowl.
Offense.
At halftime, they were up 10-3. Shouldn't they have been up by 21-3 at least? You fumbled on the opening drive. You couldn't sustain drives on offense. That defense kept Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at bay for as long as they could. And you didn't do nothing with the ball.
Chris brings a point up here.
Where is it?
Put that up there because I want to go here and people don't know this rule. If you hire a minority again, another minority, say they hire a black DC here.
Chris, you're cooking with gas, Chris.
Hold on here. They hire another black DC. They develop him into being coach or something. They get comp picks for that. He's right. 49ers are being criticized by teams across the league because you know what they're doing? Now, again, they're being criticized for doing the right thing, Tone, but still, they're getting these comp picks.
That's true. I didn't think that far ahead.
Picks.
Chris,
it's 2 threes, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, is it 2 threes?
I don't remember, but Chris got his tinfoil hat on, and I like it.
Dude, Chris, do they get 2 threes if they develop this guy into because get it, Tone. If you develop a front office guy, or if you develop a coach, you get comp picks for having an African-American or minority in the building.
Okay, here we are.
I had forgotten about that.
It says, okay, the league adopted the Rooney Rule in 2003, requiring teams to interview at least one person of color for head coaching roles. The rule, which aimed to improve the low number of minorities in head coaching positions,
No, there's
has
a new
seen
rule.
changes since while last year. Okay, so in November 2020, team owners approved a proposal to reward franchises who developed diverse talent. Now, when teams lose a minority executive or coach to a promotion with another team, they receive a third-round compensatory pick for 2 years. If a team loses both a coach and a personnel member, it receives a third rounder for 3 years. So, in losing DeMarco
losing Robert Saleh
and DeMeco Ryans,
and
they're
getting third rounders.
They're getting a third rounder for 2 years. So that's that's technically 4 third rounders. Because you get a third rounder for 2 years in comp picks. So when you lost Salah, that's 2 third rounders. You lose DeMeco Ryans, that's 2 third rounders. So that's 4 third rounders.
Right. He's fired, but if you hire another guy, I guarantee you they're hiring a minority.
Now they fired him.
Yep.
But if Steve Wilks gets hired somewhere else, or does firing him void it?
I think it voids it.
Okay.
But
still, Salah, DeMeco Ryans, that's 4 third rounders you got. They saw something in the system.
They hire a black defensive coordinator.
They saw this. Listen.
You watch this. I bet you Sean Desai's up for the job.
They saw the system and they manipulated it.
Watch Rivera get that job.
Now, are they wrong for seeing a loophole? No. But when it looks like this,
do you blame people for using a tax code to get tax breaks where I don't have to pay my income taxes?
Not really.
Tax code's in there.
It's in there. If the rules in place for a reason. Now, here's where things get tricky. If you're hiring guys and they suck, and you're just trying to hire, minorities and they're not good at their job, you know what I mean? Now it looks like you're really reaching.
I know it's a double-edged sword. It sounds like it. Dude, we sound racist by going, hey, you're hiring only black guys to get
We're
paid.
overcooking it. We're overcooking it for sure. But you have to think like business people.
No, you have to think like shark NFL guys.
Like sharks. Like you got to think like sharks.
Because sharks eat guppies.
Yeah, and also, now granted, DeMeco Ryans and Robert Saleh, they were on the same staff. They developed DeMeco. Remember, that's the rule. If you develop diverse talent, you lose them to a hire, you get 2 third rounders over the course of 2 years. So that's 4 third rounders they got, losing DeMeco and Robert Saleh.
Let's see.
Are we thinking too hard?
I think so. I watch this. I
hope
not.
Are we thinking too hard?
I hope not.
Because my overall point is I didn't believe Steve Wilks deserved to get fired. But also at the same time, you could say to yourself the writing was on the wall. They've been scapegoating him all year. All year. Did you hear how Shanahan talked about him after that Vikings loss?
I could have sworn I heard him just say yesterday, though, all the defensive coaches are coming back, except for like a few of them.
Whose decision do you think it was? Whose decision do you think it was? Do you think it was Shanahan's or do you think it was Lynch?
I think it was Lynch. No, actually, I can't. No, I know John Lynch, 25 years. No way. That's the Yorks. That's Jed York.
You think he came above them?
Yep. There's no way John Lynch is going to use a guy who held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points in a Super Bowl for 4 quarters and walk into him and justify going, hey, you're fired. And by the way, your job was win or lose to keep your gig. That I don't believe. You know what? I'm going to do what you say sometimes, Tone. I'm going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. And this is why I hate when I know someone, because I know that guy and I know their family and I know the father and I know the whole group. They're great people.
Yeah, you know how to do business, and that doesn't seem like them.
It just doesn't.
And I can respect that because you have that. I can respect that because you have the relationship.
I just
don't like the fire.
On the other hand, they fired Harbaugh, and they got rid of Kaepernick, and the way they've handled themselves sometimes in critical situations
can be a little sketchy,
man. I think that Kyle Shanahan, I'm gonna put it out there to you. I see him in more situations shit the bed, and I got to tell you, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with him.
Steve Wilks in that defense held Patrick Mahomes to 0 points up until the final minute.
Sean McVay runs circles around that guy.
Easily. It's not even a question. He's a better in-game decision maker. He's more poised in big moments. He doesn't overcook it, and he understands situations. Again, I like I said, I'm not even going to make it about race. I'm not. I'm just going to talk about the facts. The fact of the matter is, Steve Wilks in that defense held Patrick Mahomes to 3 points in the first half. Kyle Shanahan's offense only was able to put up 10 points in the first half. You held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points in a 4-quarter game. That defense. Kyle Shanahan, where were you guys? You guys did not take advantage of your opportunities. That game wasn't lost because of defense.
Tony, you think there was a bitching match between the two of them guys because yesterday Shanahan said that, well, Steve Wilks is coming back. And after Bosa made those comments that, he went after, because Nick Bosa went after him.
I don't like that. See, I don't like
that.
I don't like that.
Dude, so you call out your coach and you may have cost him your job. You know what I say to him?
That same coach put you in a position to have double-digit pressures in the Super Bowl. How about you get a sack?
Man, I'm really pissed off at him for opening his face like that.
How about you turn into a closer and actually force a fumble, do something? Javon Hargrave had a better game than you, and he didn't have that many pressures. Like, come on, man. I don't like when people don't take accountability, and I hate when people misplace blame. And I feel like this is exactly what that is. This is exactly what that is.
It is.
They lost that game because of offense, not because of defense.
No. How about this?
Debo Samuel.
I kind of get it, but it's just a terrible look.
Debo Samuel underperformed. George Kittle underperformed. Brandon Ayuk underperformed. Your offensive line.
Too.
Your offensive line underperformed. I saw Trent McDuffie beating Trent Williams.
I know. I saw Chase Young get by that other guy.
Are we serious? I saw Trent McDuffie beating Trent Williams.
Remember I told you like on Monday, I think. I told everyone on Monday, man, Kyle Shanahan's blocking schemes and his offense, they just don't jive with me on all the complex routes he runs. He runs so many complex routes. I mean, you know that throwback they had? That throwback should have been a loss for yardage because a guy missed the block.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow that guy got that pass across down to McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Was it Jennings? He got that pass down there.
Yeah. The only reason that pass got over there was because the
Jennings shook him off, right?
So what happened was before Jennings got the ball, when the ball was in the air, before Jennings even got it, the Chiefs defender was making a beeline for the ball. That would have been a pick six. But what happened was the Niners offensive lineman chipped the defender. And that bought Jennings just enough time to catch that ball and let it go. Man, this is the nature of the game, right? Scapegoats.
I guess so.
It's the nature of the game, man.
Here's the last one here for you.
Yes, sir.
Is Haason Reddick worth mortgaging the future payroll flexibility?
When you put it that way, no. Because I think they have a lot that they need to work on besides just Haason Reddick. Me personally, and I don't mean any disrespect. I can find me another one of those.
I just don't know why people are so.
And I like Haason. I like Haason. And do I think he's one of the best pass rushers? Pure pass rushers. Say that again.
You think the Eagles like him?
I think they like him, but I don't think they love him. I think they like him, but they don't love him. Like you say, don't fall in love, fall in like.
Fall in like.
They like him.
It's healthier falling in like.
Love blinds you.
You bet.
And it's Valentine's Day, baby. We all know what that's like.
Love blinds you and passion blinds you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? When you're in the NFL, two of those things have to be excluded.
I'm challenged
about building a team.
I'm challenged every day, Sills.
I know you are.
Keeping my passion from blinding me from the business.
Tone, that shitty league has jaded me so horrifically that I don't really fall in love with anything anymore when it comes to field football and how you build a team.
Yeah.
that I know that there's guys in the league I really like. Like, watch this, Devontae Smith, my favorite Eagle. But I'd get rid of him in a second if I thought it would help me get closer to a Super Bowl. And some people in Philly would go, what? And that's why when I brought up the DeShaun Jackson and all this other stuff, and I was like, these guys really have these emotional, like Brandon Graham. When I go like this, it must kill people, and it must even kill you to an extent. He's out of here. I don't care. He's not productive. He's not bringing me anything any longer. I need the roster share.
So
it sounds terrible, doesn't it?
It sounds like a business. But let me say this real quick. You know, you mentioned DeShaun Jackson, the Jeremy Maclin, and the LaShawn McCoy trades, right? And how that kind of killed Eagles fans. Knowing what I know today, if you asked me if I would do it again, yeah, I would. I'm sorry. Bye-bye, DeShaun. Bye-bye, LaShawn. Bye-bye, Jeremy.
And you love those guys.
And I love those guys. But if I had to do it again and I knew my Super Bowl was coming, I put them on the first flight.
Think about what you just said. Hey, Tone, 2 years from this move we're making, you're going to win the Lombardi Trophy. We got to cut or move or trade Watson or Shady McCoy and DeShaun Jackson. You're telling me you wouldn't do it?
I got a topic for you. If you knew the Eagles would win the Super Bowl in 2 years and all you had to do was trade A.J. Brown and Haason Reddick, Eagles fans, would you do it?
No, they won't, but I would.
If you knew you had a Lombardi Trophy, matter of fact, let me not even guarantee the win. Let's
bring it home to a reality move.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even use Kansas City.
Right.
Is Jordan Love closer to a Super Bowl without Devontae Adams on the roster or with him on the roster?
I'll take it a step further. Is Jordan Love closer to a Super Bowl without Devontae Adams than Jalen Hurts is with A.J. Brown?
I think Jordan Love's closer.
I think Jordan Love's closer. That's the unbiased me talking.
Hey,
that's me putting my passion in my back pocket.
These people can't see this. Like we've been talking about Jefferson. Jefferson, Minnesota is not worth 30. Jefferson, Minnesota, CJ Stroud, he's complete. But you wait, watch this.
Worth 30.
He's not going to get you to the Super Bowl because a $30 million guy and a $50 million guy. Oh, wait, well, if he's on a rookie deal, there's a different dynamic there. But Tone, these big-time $25 million wide receivers don't lead you to the promised land.
There's a reason you see teams getting rid of big contracts when they know they're not close.
Can you do me one last favor before you get out of here?
Yes, sir.
Can you put up the list of the Super Bowls, the Super Bowl winners?
Gotcha.
In the last Super Bowls, and I want to take a look at something here. We took a look at the quarterbacks, and I want to make a point to you. Okay?
All right.
I want to make a point to you on, like, in your A.J. Brown deal here and your Devontae Adamses and Stephon Diggses, and who else makes a lot of money? Tyreek Hills. Okay. Go down to the 2000. Go down to this last one.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
All right. There it is. Kansas City, no $20 million receiver the last 2 years. Rams, no $20 million receiver. Cup got the deal.
They paid Cup afterwards.
No $20 million deal in Tampa. Mike Evans is leaving because he wants a $20 million deal.
At the time, was Mike Evans? I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Mike Evans may be making $13 million
at that time.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't remember, but you're probably right. It's 2020, so you're probably right.
Kansas City, Tyreek Hill was not making $25 million
at the time. Nope, he wasn't. I think he was still on a rookie deal.
Correct. Nobody in New England ever makes $20 million.
The Eagles, nobody on there was making.
Nobody in that team made $20 million.
Now, granted, for context, remember those contracts get increased every year.
Okay, highest paid receivers, we'll say.
Let's do that. Let's do highest pay. I think that's more reasonable.
Okay, so highest paid receiver.
So
nobody
the Eagles,
in 17 in New England.
Listen, in 18, the Eagles had Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and Nelson Aguilar. None of those guys were even in the top 10 as far as paid receivers. Not even 15, I don't think. If I'm not mistaken. They were all, in my opinion, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and Nelson Aguilar, they were a combination of B level to C plus receivers.
Go back a little further. I want to make another point. And we'll just say, because the market did change. Well, how about this? The only guy that I see on that list for the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 Super Bowls, maybe is Mike Evans. Other than that, where's the big-time receiver dude that was making the big money? Show me. Where's your big money guy, highest paid guy? That never happened in New England. The Broncos?
They didn't.
I mean, who
they
was
didn't
on
have-
that team?
Their best receiver at that time was, I think, Emmanuel Sanders.
Something like that. You think he's the highest paid guy back then in 18 when he had
Hell
Randy
no.
Moss in the league?
Hell no.
Look, and they got rid of the Seattle team. They didn't have DK Metcalf then.
Nope, not at all. They had Doug Baldwin. He wasn't the highest paid guy at the time.
I think they moved Percy Harvin.
No, they had Percy at that time, I think.
Okay.
They had Percy.
Percy may have been.
He was a punt returner.
Their highest paid player, the kid from Florida.
Probably was their highest paid, but he was a punt returner. He had migraines and concussions. Like, he wasn't the highest paid, What receiver can you name? Michael Crabtree in that San Fran Super Bowl against the Ravens? Michael Crabtree? I mean, who else was in that Super Bowl? Who did the
Anquan Bolden?
Anquan Bolden wasn't the highest paid guy. He was on the back nine.
Yeah, he was on the back nine.
New York Giants when they beat the Patriots.
Here's the point here. Well, you're right. David Tyree. What was it? David
Tyree. Plexico Burris, I think.
Plexico Burris. That could be the time right there. That 12. Burris was up there high because remember they got him from Pittsburgh.
Right. You're right.
So that's probably the time. I mean, Green Bay didn't have high-priced wide receivers.
No, they had Greg Jennings, Donald Driver.
They had Randall Cobb,
Jordy Nelson, I think. Right? I think they had, but he wasn't the highest paid. You know what I mean?
They had Randall Cobb. I think that we don't need to go any further. So tell me, Tone, what's the point of having A.J. Brown on your team when high-priced wideouts don't deliver? You got to get them early in their careers too, like the quarterbacks. They won that Super Bowl in Kansas City when Hill wasn't on a big-time deal.
You raise a really good question, right? You can make an argument actually that you're better off having a high-paid tight end than a high-paid wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm paying my quarterback.
You can make an argument for that. So it's
get this. If I have to pay my quarterback, I ain't paying the wide receiver for it because I'm paying that quarterback to carry the load of my offense, not to rely on somebody. That's the mistake they made in Dallas, and that's the mistake they think they have with – see, they're going to do the mistake everyone thinks. Watch this.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do the same shit they're doing in Philly. They're going to pay Lamb $28 million, and they're going to give Dak $60, and they're going nowhere.
You want to hear something really interesting real quick? So before CJ Stroud got to the Texans, they were literally in quarterback purgatory. They had nobody, right?
Nobody.
And their best receiver was Nico Collins this year. Nico Collins had almost 1,300 receiving yards on 80 catches. Now, listen to this. Prior to CJ Stroud getting there, did you know Nico Collins has less receiving yards in his first 2 seasons combined than he did in one season with CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud elevated his game. He made him better.
Nico Collins is the best receiver that they've had since Andre Johnson.
I can agree with that. Obviously, he's not Andre Johnson, but no, he's the best since then.
Andre Johnson had T.J. Yates
and Matt Schaub. Like and Matt Schaub. I mean, no disrespect, but it's like
Osweiler and guys like that shit.
Right, it made the Hall of Fame still. Can you imagine if he had a quarterback?
I know. I congratulated him the other day. I told him him and Devin.
Isn't he a Miami guy?
Yeah, he's a Miami guy. Okay. Get this. You ready for this? Him and here was the offense on that Canes team and that 01 team. They had him, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. They had Frank Gore. They had Willis McGahee. And I think Edrin wasn't there. Oh, who's the guy from Washington they had? The guy, who's the guy that was the running back for the Washington Redskins back in the day? He was
Are you
also they had these 3 guys all go in the first round.
wait?
It
Are
was
you
utterly
talking
insane. They
about,
had Bryant McKinney, and dude, on the 2000 team, Sean Taylor was a backup on that team.
who was that?
They had Ray Lewis. They had Ed Reed.
Yeah,
They had all. I mean, Butch
yeah.
did a great job recruiting.
Real,
Clinton Portis was
Clinton
Clinton
Portis. Well,
Portis. McGahee.
Clinton Portis was drafted by Denver, though.
Oh, that's right. He went to Denver, then ended up in Washington.
Right. But listen to this before I get out of here, Sills. You know, watching these playoffs really made me reevaluate how I think this wide receiver room probably should be constructed going forward. I saw Jordan Love with a bunch of nobodies dismantle the Cowboys. Dismantle them. Why? Because they had a respectable play caller and they had a quarterback that was able to deliver. I saw the Houston Texans dismantle. Who did they beat in the first round? Who was that?
Colts
Was it the Colts? I can't remember.
or the Steelers or Cleveland. Cleveland.
I watched CJ Stroud drop 40 on the Cleveland Browns defense. 40 with a bunch of receivers that we didn't even know them until this year. So what I'm trying to say is I would much rather save some money, maybe pay one receiver, maybe one, maybe. And then, listen, I'm going to get some people nervous here. I get it. But this is how my mind works.
It's because
I'm
you've gone with the money.
I'm thinking about the money, and I'm
Your
also
money
thinking about
and hurts.
and balancing the offense and the defense.
Balancing the cap.
And I'm looking at it like this. I would as much as I love AJ Brown and all those guys, I would much rather, if it's again, especially if I knew I'm going to spread the ball around and I have a reliable play caller, I feel, first of all, when you're putting a team together, you're supposed to be more confident in your quarterback and your play caller than any receiver. Because again, I saw Matt LaFleur making Romeo Dobbs and whoever else they have on the roster look like all pros. I
They ran
saw
circles around the Cowboys Pro Bowlers.
exactly, and that Cowboys was a top 10 defense, a top 5. We saw 2 top 5 defenses
Taken apart
in the Browns and the Cowboys being taken apart by what? 2 legitimate play callers and 2 young quarterbacks.
With nobody receivers.
Really put that in motion. Really think about that. 2 top 5 defenses were taken out by quarterbacks on the rookie deals and a top flight play caller with no weapons that we knew of until this year. So again, Jalen Hurts is going to have to get to a point where he's going to have to start, because again, we see that guys can have careers with him. We've seen it. We see that. Now, okay, can you find a way to do that with somebody you're spending less money on? Because their mind was in the right place when they brought in AJ Brown. Their mind was in the right place.
So the last 2 Super Bowl teams, Tone, have had all the toys and the 2 quarterbacks. Are they the guy or not?
That's the $50 million question. That's the $50 million.
That's a $50 million question they may have to answer.
We're going to find out.
San Francisco soon.
But San Francisco has a little bit more leeway than Philadelphia.
They do. But
they do. But they got to decide.
No, I guarantee you. You're looking at Purdy and you're looking at Hurts and going, like, how about this? If you're Nick Sirianni, are you, and not him, because he has a nothing say in this. If you're Howie Roseman and you do this, okay, if I move Brown, can he win?
I'm glad you said that. Do you think he believes that?
No.
So why would you give him $50 million?
Because with the team he has.
But how long can you sustain that?
Can't.
You can't.
Look where you are now.
You can't. That's that's what it boils down. At the end of the day, no matter how we feel, what it boils down to is this: is Jalen Hurts good enough to elevate the people around him? Do they believe that?
I think he can.
I think he can, because I saw
because he has.
He has.
But I don't think they think that.
Exactly. And this, but also, it's going to come to a point where they have no choice but to find out.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the part where it gets real interesting.
You remember? Hey, I want to leave you with this, and we'll end it here. But can you name me a quarterback that had the highest paid numbers, like Golf and Wentz and Carr and Murray? Can you name me a guy that went on a second-year contract, that got a second year, or that got a second contract that went on to make more money than he initially made?
You're talking about after the not after the rookie contract.
Bag of money. Did you get another bag of money that was bigger?
Let me look up something before we get out of here. Highest paid quarterbacks by year. See if I can find it.
See, because I never thought Stafford was the highest paid guy. I thought he hung around 38 his whole time.
All right, let's see. We got this here. Okay, so
Cousins got that $87 million deal when he went over there from Washington.
All right, so I had this is between 2004 and 2017.
We'll go with the $50 million guys, or the start at 38.
Let me see.
Those big money, because those guys, to me, it's the money. It's those huge money guys.
Okay, give me one moment.
I want the 40 guys.
All right. So quarterbacks. Okay, so you want to start in the $50 million range?
40. Let's do 40. If they got second bags of money.
All right, let me try to go back and get that year. So 2022. Okay, in 2022, Aaron Rodgers became the first player to make $50 million. So we can start there.
Okay. Well, he won a Super Bowl. He's got 4 MVPs.
Right.
So he's worth it.
Right. Russell Wilson. He got a second big bag of money. But it was at that time. Won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Right.
You thought it was the deal at the time, even the Eagles did.
Right. Now, after that, Kyler Murray got that money, $46 million.
How's that working?
Not good so far.
Deshaun Watson, second bag?
Do I think right now he's getting the second bag of money?
Yeah.
At this rate, no.
Okay.
But especially when you think about the injury history. So no, I don't think he's getting the second bag of money that big. Deshaun Watson, not delivering. Whew.
That could be the biggest contract disaster of all time.
Yep. Patrick Mahomes, we already know how that goes. Josh Allen. He's talented. He wins games, but so far the contract hasn't panned out.
Would we not agree?
And you're in cap hell
right now in the middle.
Yeah, but what makes it even worse right now is you're about 40 million or 30 million over the cap. And you haven't 44 million, and you haven't won a Super Bowl not once, and you were on the doorstep every single year.
4 straight AFC titles, dude.
Right.
I don't want a hat. I want a parade.
Derek Carr.
Nothing.
He didn't get the Saints threw him a bag of money. I don't know why.
Dude, I know. And it killed them. They're the worst cap team right now.
Mickey Loomis has been kicking the bucket down the street for way too long.
Man, for that Super Bowl and the Dennis Allen thing, it just doesn't make sense since Sean Payton left.
Matthew Stafford, he got a second contract, right? Or was it a restructure?
Well, what's he making?
At that time in 2022, it was $40 million.
Oh, okay.
At that time.
Yeah, he delivered a Super Bowl.
He did. So he got the second deal. Yeah.
Now he restructured it.
He restructured it
down to 38 or 35 or something like that.
Right. As of right now, Matthew Stafford has an average salary of his average salary is still $40 million.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Still in this NFL,
delivered.
that's a bargain in this NFL.
Delivered.
And he delivered. Dak Prescott at the time, $40 million.
Delivered, dude. He's not worth it.
Has not delivered. Kirk Cousins, we all know what that is. At the time, he was making $35 million.
Dude, at the end of the day, he's done nothing.
Right. Jared Goff. I try to tread lightly with Jared Goff.
How much would you give him? Because he's up now. Would you give him another bag of money?
So
what's his annual salary?
As of right now, Jared Goff's annual salary is $33.5 million.
Would you give him 45?
Can I give him 43? A $10 million pay bump.
See, I would go like this to you, man.
He has leverage. He has leverage.
What were you? I mean, you were a shit show before I showed up.
That's exactly what I was about to say. He has leverage.
I mean, your lover boy Stafford sucked out loud. I put you in the NFC title game. That guy couldn't win a playoff game up here.
Right. He gave you passing titles. I brought you to an NFC championship.
I've had 4,000 passing yard seasons in 6 years, and everyone thought I was a stopgap guy up here. Give me the fucking 45.
I think I'm gonna have to give it to you.
I mean, okay, what are you standing on? Who do you want up here?
Listen, you bring up a good
Joshua
point.
Dobbs?
You bring up a good point, man. You bring a very good point. Did you know in 2022, Tom Brady's average salary was $15 million?
Yeah, because you know what he did when he got down to Tampa? I know exactly what they did. Jason Light went like this. Okay, we're going to back end this thing. We're going to front end this thing. They gave him in his first year, I think, $45 million.
Listen
in a
to
bag
this.
Of cash.
So the first year, right?
Could have been 55.
Listen to this. Tom Brady, this is what you call betting on yourself for real. When he first got to Tampa, he signed a 2-year, $50 million deal, fully guaranteed. So basically, over 2 years, that's average salary of $25 million.
Yeah. Brady was never never the highest paid player in the league in his entire career.
The NFLPA must hate him.
Oh, dog. Let me tell you this. When you had guys giving deals to teams because the teams liked you, you'd get a call from Gene Upshaw personally, and Gene Upshaw would say shit like this to you. You know, I know you like where you are. Well, what about the 10 dudes behind you? They're coming up the ranks here. You're hurting that whole league, and you're hurting everybody. We used to get these calls all the time, and he'd come and talk to us, and he didn't like it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Tom Brady held up
the
quarterback pay scale?
With Tom Brady, when he left, these numbers are going through the roof now. Because every owner would go like this. You think I'm paying you more than him?
It's something to think about. Did Tom Brady single-handed?
Mahomes, remember this. Brett Veach, they just went. After a while, everyone in the room's going, you don't play running backs. You don't play wide receivers. Where does the money go into? And that Mahomes' people, Steinberg, they go like this. Well, shit. You're not giving him anything. He only has Kelsey. And if you're not giving him anything, we need to restructure. So they redid a contract.
They redid it.
And they redid it for him. All right, Tone.
Yes, sir. It's always fun talking to you, man. Listen, if it ain't about the money,
it ain't about anything.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. My good friend, that is Tone. Absolutely. Hit the like button. Please keep it here on the National Football Show.